Welcome back, everybody. Episode 40 of the Triathlon Preview Show.
Hey.
So last weekend we had the 70.3 World Championships, and we just had a great conversation off mic, and we totally forgot to record it. So we'll try to duplicate that same conversation. But we'll just go over our picks real fast and see where that takes us. So for the men, I had Sanders, Craig, and Dreets, and then Emily had Reed, Sanders, and Appleton.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't too far off, I guess. Well, maybe with Sanders, but I'm happy to have picked Reed because that was an awesome race, and he just took it right at the end. And Appleton was in the mix for a while and ended up fifth, so it was super close. Like if you look at the top 10 men, like it's only like 3 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it played out like we thought. There'd be a big group, and you just kind of, I guess maybe kind of we thought there might be a couple guys off the front, but it didn't happen to be like that. And then whoever had the best run was going to win. And Sanders obviously was too far behind for his best run split of the day to help him out.
Yeah, and I mean, like we were talking off mic, and we kind of had said that, like, the dynamics of the course being flat and then kind of hilly, but not that many hills at the end, and maybe technical. And Lionel might have lost some time on those technical sections. He just couldn't catch that big train of guys, and not saying they weren't riding legally or anything, but there is an effect being up front. And triathlon is you just can't be a weaker swimmer, or, if you are, like Keenlay wasn't too far back, but I feel like Keenlay hammered the first whatever miles to catch the group and then sat in and banked on his run.
Yeah, I think Sebastian definitely showed. I mean, we've always known he's been good, but I think his run has just evolved so much over the past. Since he won Kona, his run is just so much better. But last year, right, he had the fastest 70.3 run split. And then this year, I mean, basically, I guess maybe only two people beat him in the run split between Sanders and Reed, maybe one more, two more. But his run has improved tremendously.
Yeah, I think it's part of that is just I don't think he's been injured the last couple of years. Like he had some time off due to some injuries, and maybe this year he's been able to stay more consistent and stay uninjured. So he's been able to kind of get that run just a little bit faster. And I mean, 111, I mean, that's moving. Like last year it was 115 on a slower course, but 111 is really, really fast run, and will be crazy to see kind of, what Kona is like.
Yeah. So moving on to the women, we can't really exactly remember our picks, but I think mine were something like Reef, Lawrence, and Mel, and then something between Reef, Wartell, and Holly for Emily. But I would say it kind of played like out we thought. Like Holly would be out in front, and then we kind of assumed that Reef would be able to go and get her, but it just didn't work out that way.
No, I think maybe Reef showed a little bit of, she is human, and her swim and her run were pretty good, but her bike was maybe a little tired or just off. And when you don't have that strength on the bike, it's just hard to get away. And I mean, it's funny, I'm saying like her bad day is cycling with the big group of some of the best in the world, but it is. I mean, because she showed in the past that she's been the strongest cyclist, and we didn't see that on Sunday for whatever reason. And it might be just part of like doing a lot more Ironman type work. And just, Holly had the luxury, I guess, of being completely focused on this event in this distance. And, the 3 and 4 girls who finished behind her, minus Caroline and Stefan, are all kind of focusing on Kona. So that might be a bit of the difference too.
Yeah, I think, Reef to me has never shown us that just because of the way she's won, that what she can run. And I was really actually impressed with her run. I mean, she was running with Wartell, Mel. I mean, and she obviously finished behind him. But I mean, kept relatively close. And so for her to have that run ability, it proved it to me finally that's okay. Well, she can run and not just win with her bike, that she can try to stay in contact.
Yeah, she did actually. I remember, I think it was last year. So the year she won the Triple Crown, I think she ran a 117 at the Dubai race early in the year. So we've seen it before, but we don't see it all the time, especially on the Ironman distance with her. So curious to see, is she finally going to get under that 3-hour barrier in Kona? I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
And Mel looks strong. I mean, besides Holly, right? I mean, she was the fastest run out of that group, right?
Oh,
Um,
I don't think Holly had maybe the third or fourth fastest run. There were a few 121s, which is what
okay.
Holly ran, and then Mel ran a 118. So, when Mel is healthy, she's really dangerous, especially on the run. So, if we get a healthy Mel at Kona, it's gonna be a good race.
All right. Well, let's move on to this weekend. We have a couple exciting races. We'll start over in at Beijing Triathlon.
Yeah, so it's a kind of, I guess it's put on by IMG, the same people who do the Escape from Alcatraz. So the race is kind of has that similar vibe of like some challenges and some stairs and some off-road type stuff. Not on the bike, but on the run. So swim, it's a Olympic distance, and then you have a 680-meter run from the swim to the bikes. And then 40K bike with some hills. I think there's a climb in the middle. And then the run is 10Ks, and it's kind of an out and back, and you have some stairs to negotiate and some things to jump over or something like that. So it makes for a good race and a fun race for everyone. And they have a really strong field. I mean, can talk about the men real quick. I mean, Eric Lagerstrom's your defending champion, but they have Alistair Brownlee starting his first race since he won in Rio.
Yeah, I mean, you got Josh Amberger going. Kevin Collington's on a pretty good, tear this year. Obviously Cameron Dye, the Olympic specialist, and then Joe Malloy is going too.
Yeah, so Joe won Escape this year, and then that Hernandez from Spain. So it's I think I'm interested to see if Cam Dye can kind of hang with Alistair on the swim. The problem is they have that 680-meter run to their bikes. So Alistair might be able to get away a little bit. And then if someone's a little bit back out of the swim, say maybe like Joe Malloy, if they're gonna have time to get away and or catch up before getting on the bike. And we've seen Alistair, like he's one of the strongest cyclists out there in the ITU. So kind of excited to see him race on his own on the bike and see. Feel like he's definitely the favorite, unless he's just been like eating shepherd's pie and drinking beer since he won in Rio.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to say he's the favorite too, but it'll be interesting. I mean, I don't know when the last time we saw him race a non-draft, so I'm sure he's gonna push it as hard as he can, just like he always does in the race.
Yeah, and I mean, you have Josh Amberger too, who, I mean, he was at front pack at 70.3s just last week, fastest swim by quite a bit. I think he was in the 20. He swam in the 21s for the 1.2-mile swim. So he'll be up there and hanging with Alistair, and he's can definitely hammer on the bike. So I'm kind of curious to see how that plays out, and how Alistair rides kind of on his TT bike completely alone. I mean, um, I can't imagine he's done a ton of training on his TT bike, but cycling is cycling. I'm sure if he hasn't been on it much, he can fake it for 40K.
Yeah, I'm sure he can fake it for 40K. Moving on to the women, we just talked about Holly Lawrence. She's on the start list for this race,
Yeah,
along
yours.
with
Go ahead.
Magali, Ashley Gentle, Lauren Goss, and a couple
Barbara
other people.
Riveros from Chile, fifth at the Olympics. I mean, to me, Holly strikes me as probably the strongest cyclist, and it's going to be, can she get? I don't think if you put her head to head with like Barbara Riveros or Ashley Gentle, she could run with them. But if she's got a lead, I definitely think she can hold them off. And if it's a course with hills and stairs and stuff, those are just, it's kind of different. It's more of a strength course than a speed course, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see kind of how she stacks up on the swim too versus the ITU girls. Obviously, she was second coming out of the water at Worlds behind Brandon, and not too far behind either, actually. So, to see where she ranks will be nice too on there coming out of the swim.
Yeah, I mean, I think she'll be ahead of Ashley. Ashley's kind of second, third pack, depending on the day. Lauren Goss is your defending champion. I can imagine she's probably tried to get real fit to defend, but she might be a little bit outmatched on the bike. So, but she's a strong runner. So, she'll be, I'm sure, digging in and trying to hang on.
All right, let's move over to Ironman Wisconsin. It's a women's only race.
Yep. Good old Wisconsin. I actually have an athlete racing there this weekend. So go, Sarah. And then it's just a one loop swim. I think there's a chance for the pros. It might be non-wetsuit. Then the bike is kind of a lollipop. It's an out and then 2 loops and then back. And it's technical and hilly, and it's a hard course. And then the run is kind of through downtown Madison and through the college campus, and you go into Camp Rundle Stadium. So it's not like the fastest course in the world because you're turning corners and jumping over curbs, and it's just, I think, hard to get a really like good rhythm going, and especially after a hard bike. So we'll see how the women fare. I mean, Liz Lyles has won here before. They updated the bibs and she's still on it. So I'm guessing she's racing 2 weeks out after Penticton, and then, 4 weeks before Kona. So one last big workout.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, even if she does show up, there's going to be some females on that start list that get a pretty good payday. Is this? I'm thinking this is paying 10 deep.
It might be. I can't remember. I can't remember. It might be 8 to 10. It's not a championship, so I can't. But I think all the Ironmans pay 10 deep. It just might be 10th. Might be like $750 or
Yeah, so
something.
I'm talking like top 5. We're talking like 20, 10,000, 6.
Right.
65, 4. Especially for some of these ladies that there's only 10 on the start list.
Maybe 12.
So, definitely fighting for a decent paycheck at the top.
Yeah, and Amanda Stevens, as I was telling you before we were recording, she just won a race in Mackinac Island where it's a swim where you swim basically the length of the Mackinac Bridge. You just swim parallel to it. She won $20,000. So she's over in the Midwest, and she does well in this race. That'll be a good week for her. The only question mark is the run, because I think she's had some foot problems. So ended up, I think, walking a lot of the run in Mont Tremblant. I mean, she still finished. Christine Hammond got 6th at Ironman Texas earlier in the year, and Leslie Miller had a really strong run at Ironman France to get 4th. Alyssa Godesky is coming off her double in Europe. So there's there's a good chance for Ashley Paulson. I mean, she was second at Vineman, but quite a ways behind Sarah Pompiano. So yeah, people can get some good points and make some cash.
Yeah. All right, let's move over to the West Coast. We have 70.3 Santa Cruz. It's a men's only race.
Yeah, they got a good field. I think a lot of these people are getting ready for Kona and kind of one last little hit out, maybe break up the training a bit. The swim is, you kind of go around a pier and then there's a bit of a run to where the bikes are. The bike goes north on 1, and you kind of go off it for a little bit on this hillier road and then back on 1. But 1 is hilly. it's definitely not flat, and you can run into some wind. And then the run is flat, just out and back, goes along the coast. It's actually really pretty. I've raced there before, not the 70.3. So it goes along the coast and then inland for a bit and then back out along the coast. So it's a real good course. I think it's a fast course. So you got Hoffman, you've got Jesse Thomas, Richie Cunningham, Cody Beals, Chris Beard, who's had some, he was just third at Timberman. So he'll be coming on the run, and Pedro Gomes getting ready for Kona. Pretty good list. Tim Don's on there.
Yeah, it is a good list. Like you said, it kind of just depends who's in what type of training. You kind of might see some of the more of the 70.3 guys, like maybe like Drew Scott. He's come back from that injury, right?
Yeah, clavicle, didn't he?
Yeah, so he's been off for a pretty long time. And like you said, like Tim Don, Ben Hoffman, Jesse Thomas, they're all building up for Kona. So the guys that you would think would be near the top, they might be tired. Like you said, just trying to get a little hard effort in.
Yeah, Drew Scott, I think he was just second at Penticton, or maybe second or third at Penticton, the kind of 3/4 Ironman distance. And Cody Beals is getting ready for Long Course Worlds in Oklahoma City. So he might be a little bit tired, or just kind of starting his taper and maybe feeling pretty good. I think, it's just a good race, and it's not going to be hot. It's just a good place and time to get in a really good hard effort, I think.
Yeah, definitely. With coming close to Kona, the start lists are a little unpredictable, and you see how people do.
Yeah, like someone like Chris Beard, it could be a race where he could kind of, steal a podium spot, steal a win. Who the heck knows? And I think he's getting ready to have a baby with his wife Brianna, so maybe this will be one last really good race before all that starts going on.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's kind of all we have going on. There's a couple races in Europe, but not too much of a start list there.
Yep, and next week will be Cozumel. We have that.
I think it's just Wales next weekend.
And WTS Cozumel, the grand final.
Yeah.
So, yep, things will kind of like go on a lull, and then before you know it, we'll be talking about Kona.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us.
Thank you.